Greetings. Welcome to the Lava and Garden Show, number 15. Again, it's not a lot of new news. Consideration over what happened with the lava bomb hitting the tour boat. Harry Kim, our mayor, was on the TV, and he was discussing possible options about how to deal with these lava tours. Something that I had not been aware of, and that is that apparently previously they had already figured that somewhere down there near Pohoiki Road that they were going to allow land tours of the flow, and they had an area already leveled out and ready to go over there, but then apparently the fissure rose so high that it wasn't possible to actually see the lava from that location. So they canceled that idea. They're now looking for a new location where they might be able to allow people to go back in and do land tours of the lava. This is something that was quite popular when the flow was coming down by Kalapana off Pu'u'o. People would go out and walk to see what the lava was doing as it ran over the landscape. This is, not the ocean boat tour thing. And so apparently they're setting up to try to get this happening. The whole point behind it, obviously, is not to endanger human beings, but to try to draw lava tourism in. Many of the businesses have been severely impacted by all this. It's hit the local economy pretty hard. And so it's that classic nature hands you a lemon situation, squeeze it and make lemonade. So they're attempting to get land tours to go in there and be able to watch this lava flowing across the landscape. Sounds cool. I believe it will be less of a hike than the last flow over by Kalapana. So they might even get me involved in it. There was no way I was hiking 2 miles plus across a lava flow to go out and look at that stuff myself. I hate falling on lava. It really hurts. But I think this will be a little easier. They're even talking about using buses to take people in. Well, that'd be really cool. So there we go. It's total destruction. We've lost Kaboho Bay. The tide pools are gone. The hot ponds are gone. It looks like the boat landing at Pohoiki is getting really close to being gone too. So we won't even have a boat landing in Puna anymore. But hey, there's a lava flow. Come on down. Let's see this thing. I love it. I just love it. Otherwise, up in the park, it's just so much the same. I mean, even the magnitude of the earthquakes at Halemaumau have been pretty much the same, right around 5s, 5-1s, 5-2s, 5-5s, and again, just these blasts. That's it. Nothing else after that. So we get a jolt, and it's over, and they are one after the other, after the other. It was another one last night again. So that's pretty much it for the local news. Otherwise, here in the garden, a couple of things been going on. One is that I am just sick and tired of whiteflies on my pepper plants. Young pepper plants, not so bad, but here peppers will sometimes live for a few years. And the longer-lived pepper varieties around here seem to just continue to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate whiteflies. I think that's most of what causes them to go into decline. I try spraying oil under the leaves to control it, but that's hard on the plants. And you probably end up with no leaves on the plants before you get rid of all the whiteflies. So I've gone back to an old tried and true technique, and I've been putting up whitefly traps. The whiteflies are attracted to the color yellow. This yellow right here on my frog duster is just about the right shade. Very, very close to the color that the whiteflies like. And so you can buy commercial-made whitefly traps that are basically a yellow card that has Stickum on it. They're available. Surefire, I think, is one of the major brand names on that. I like to make my own. It's a little cheaper. And so Ellen found me some plastic notebook folders yesterday at Target that were only $1 a piece, and they had just about the right color. So let's take a look at my trap. Yeah, so right here I've got a sheet of yellow plastic. It's been coated with a stickum called Tanglefoot, and I've got it tied with a shoelace onto a bamboo pole. I got another one over there in the distance on my other pepper plants. We are beginning to accumulate a few tiny insects on here, but they look more like aphids. They're not whiteflies at the moment. Basically all you need is a yellow waterproof card and then something on the surface of it so that the flies, when they land on that color, will stick to it. You need to have it about a foot or so above the surface of the plants that are affected, so you put it up above over the plant. I know y'all are going to ask me, well, what's Tanglefoot? That's Tanglefoot right there. It says right on it, Tanglefoot on the top lid there. The stuff is a goopy vegetable tar, really, really sticky stuff. It's got pine tar in there and I don't know what else, but it's basically an organic material. Right here. It's just a stickum, really goopy. And anything that hits that will get stuck to it, including your fingers. So use a spatula or some disposable thing. A popsicle stick type thing works really well to spread Tanglefoot on surfaces. It's not just good for trapping whiteflies. You can use it for trapping so many things. This is, I think, basic equipment on most fruit tree trunks. Having bands of Tanglefoot around the trunks. Probably advisable maybe to put down a piece of duct tape or something around the trunk first. Smear it on the duct tape. Although I have put it directly on tree trunks if the bark was heavy with no ill effects whatsoever. But it will keep ants, for instance, from climbing your fruit trees, and ants in the fruit trees mean aphids, scale, mealybugs, a whole lot of different things. Critters like borers do have to move up and down trunks of trees in their life cycles, and so they can get stuck in it too. So it's a very useful material. I highly recommend it for a wide variety of insect trapping techniques. They've even used it on sink drain pipes before to keep ants from coming inside the house. So otherwise, out in the garden, the rain has finally started again. It's been really dry here, which was good and bad. The good news was it was perfect for curing popcorn on the stalk. And so I have this beautiful harvest of hybrid Japanese Holus popcorn here. This is the robust variety. And now I find often that when I talk to gardeners that growing popcorn seems to be something that almost nobody ever does. It's sort of, I find it rather interesting since most of us eat popcorn. It's a really easy crop. Nice crop too, but it seems to be a bit of a mystery that this is easy to do. It really is. Well, you need the right variety of corn, and there are many different types of popcorn out there. There's some Native American ones, we have some really old-time popcorns, and then we also have some brand new, highly refined popcorns. In general, the newer types are easier to grow, higher yielding, generally have thinner hulls. Some of the old-time popcorns really got a hull on them. It's a lot to chew. Now, that's not always true. There's a little thing that we call a strawberry popcorn. It's this little strawberry corn that we use during Halloween. That one has a really tender hull. Now, it makes a very small pop, and the points on that kernel make it kind of hard to shell. It's difficult. But there are a few of the early race popcorns that do have thin hulls on them. But this variety here was bred specifically for high yield and for a nice tender hull. The corn has to be allowed to go dead ripe on the stalks. And the stalks actually have to turn brown and die back, and the husk on the corn needs to be dying back. In some cases, certain varieties, the ears will kind of flop downward as this happens, and so that's one signal, but generally a golden look to the entire plant with almost no green is what you need to say, oh, time to pick the popcorn. Now, I knew there was a rainstorm coming, and it hasn't rained worth a darn in over a week or more around here, and so I ran out at the very beginning of that storm, and I rounded up all of my popcorn last night because I didn't want it to get soaked. It had cured really nicely. And I brought it inside the house, and I pulled all the husks off. Now, you don't necessarily have to pull the husks off. It's possible to hang your corn by husking it, bundling it, and then tying them up. Right here is an example of a Native American popcorn called Glass Gems, where we've left the husk in place and we've tied it so that we can hang these so they'll dry. Robust did not have such a strong husk, and so it was difficult to do that with it, and so I opted just for pulling the husks off completely so we can air cure these. Popcorn's a little bit tricky as far as the moisture content because the outside of the kernel has to be really, really dry, but the inside of the kernel's got to have fair moisture in it. The reason for that is that the moisture inside the kernel is what causes the steam that makes the explosion of the pop. But the outside of the kernel being nice and dry is what makes it snap and blow up. If the outside of the kernel is too moist, it won't snap right, and so it's not going to make a nice pop. If the inside of the kernel is too dry, it won't steam and explode. So you need a balance between dry outside, moist inside with popcorn. Now, how long that takes is going to depend so much on the type of popcorn you're growing and the local conditions in your environment. Obviously, popcorn is going to cure much faster in California and Arizona and western states where it hardly ever rains and has low atmospheric humidity than it does, say, in the Midwest where it's wet, or in Hawaii, for instance. Hawaii is challenging. I have tried numerous artificial techniques for attempting to try to speed up the process with popcorn. I haven't found a single one of them to be very effective. In fact, some of them were completely disastrous. So I've given up trying to artificially force the corn into a dry, cured state. Instead, I just let it hang around in a relatively dry environment until it's finally ready to pop. It ordinarily will take about 2 or 3 months in a nice dry climate for this to happen naturally. In Hawaii, we're talking more like 6 to 12 months. It can take quite a while to get the corn into the right state here. But it does eventually cure itself just to that point. Here I have an ear from last year's crop, and this year is ready. It's nice and hard and dry on the outside and has just enough moisture on the inside. I would not say that Glass Gems is the world's best popping corn like Orville Redenbacher, but it is a popcorn and it's really pretty. Okay, so we grew it out of curiosity. Anyway, there's a lot of folks that don't know you can pop corn on the cob. All you need to do is have a paper bag like this one. Put the ear inside the paper bag and then roll the bag shut so it doesn't come out of there. I'm sure you all have seen microwave popcorn in bags. It works the same way. Any old paper bag's going to work fine. So let's pop some corn. Right here I have a regular kitchen microwave bag with a popcorn on the inside. I'll put the bag inside the microwave, and generally this takes about 2.5 minutes, but it varies, so we're just going to go and set it for 2.5 minutes here. At 1 minute and 40 seconds, she's starting to crank. And we're going to judge this by sound. It's going to pop, 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 pop rapidly. And then gradually it's going to slow itself back down. And when it starts to slow down, I'm going to turn it off, because if you leave it going too long, you're going to burn everything in the bag. Okay, she's slowing down good. And I can smell this, so I think I'm going to cancel. Let's take a look. See what's going on there. Oh boy. Wow, huh? Popcorn on the cob, dude. And we also do have popcorn in the bag here that popped off the cob too. And so, there we go. Just like that. But pretty clever, huh? Popcorn on the cob. Well, there we go. I don't know if that was exactly Orville Redenbacher, but we sure popped most of what was in here. There's a little bit left on the ends there. It's not as efficient when you're popping it on the cob, but it's pretty cool. It's good popcorn. Butter and salt, anyone? Nah, it's just a kick. And I found that most people have never seen this done. That's pretty neat. Alright, I'm going to enjoy my popcorn. I'm probably going to be a good 6 months before this here beautiful basket of this stuff is ready to go. But oh, aren't those cute? Oh man, look at that. Can't wait. That's supposed to be some real good popcorn. Should have bigger pops than this on fairly tender hulls. So aloha, hang loose, grow more popcorn.